Good evening, everyone. Namaste to one and all, and warm welcome on the final session of our FDP on theatre skills, an applied tool for educators and professionals. We started this journey on 15th of September, and today is the last session, 20th of September. Uh, as we will close this FDP today, I would once again like to thank on behalf of Team NLD, our collaborating institution, Babbar Akali Memorial Khalsa College, Garshankar, Punjab, the college's IQAC cell and Department of English who have worked with NLD to organize this FDP. The organizing team from the college, convener of this FDP, Dr. Amandeep Hira Madam, principal, coordinator, Dr. Kuldeep Kaur Madam, all our wonderful participants for staying with us through the course of this 6-day journey. And of course, our esteemed resource person, Zelam Tambe, who led us through this journey on understanding theater in a better perspective. Sorry, I'm so sorry for my mobile phone ringing in between. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that I'd not kept it on mute. So once again, thanks to Zelam Tambe for leading us very insightfully, wonderfully through this journey on understanding the application of theater skills and enhancing our understanding of theater. So I will be sharing my screen before I hand over to Zelam. Very quickly, I'm posting a link of a very interesting book for all of you. This is a book on Natya Shastra, a study on continuity and progress of Indian communication, theorizing and praxis. This is a book co-authored by Dr. Kapil Kumar Bhattacharya, Professor Biplab Loho Chaudhary, and Professor Ramesh Rao. And this is a PhD thesis work by Dr. Kapil, whom we had invited in one of our IKS certificate courses as an expert. This book is based on his PhD thesis. It's a wonderful book on Natya Shastra from a communication paradigm. So anyone who's interested in exploring Natya Shastra now, after we have done the theater FDP, you can use this link, and I will be posting the link in the WhatsApp group also. So I invite Zelam to start her FDP, and in the meanwhile, I just need a quick 1 or 2 minutes to start sharing her presentation on the screen. So Zelam, you can start with some introductory remarks, and meanwhile, I'll just start sharing the screen.
Yeah. So today we have come to the last part of the theater FDP, and I would like to share with you all. I'm sure since there is a group of academicians in this meeting, so there might be interactions happening with the students, and there are concepts which are very difficult to break. So I think conceptualizing them, making them easier to understand, it becomes a challenging task for every teacher. And all the subjects, like for example, those who belong to the management, discipline, those who belong. The few days back we had one teacher who is associated with psychology. So the theories of psychology and human elements added in it. All these things are very important to be explained in a way that they should they should reach to the audience in a way that it should be effectively communicated. So there are different things that we will be touching upon today. We will be trying to make it more simpler in our approach while we go and break down all these concepts, and we can see that whether we can apply that to a visual narrative, or can we have some non-visual ads to aids to it, sorry. And then we can also have that, if we can have a theatrical presentation as far as some bigger concept is concerned. So how are we going to do that? So that not only encourages the involvement of each student, as a participant, but it also gives them individually, it gives them a lot of confidence. It sharpens their skills as a by process, and there is a coordination between all of them. So it is all the teamwork that comes to the fourth place, because when we talk about this kind of experimental theater, and bringing the concept to the class in form of something which is very in a very different from a very different perspective and lens.
Yeah, Zalem, I am also facing some internet issues and the download is still in progress. So maybe you
Okay.
can start, and as soon as it is downloaded, I'll be sharing my screen because I've been trying since some time, but I'm also facing some network issues. Yeah, you are on mute, Zalem. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So I'll just start the explaining the things. So when we break, how to break a concept. Uh, the concept is being broken in form of, when you identify an area, you identify a concept, and then you break it in parts. Say for example, it is something that has to do with the introduction. If the concept has an introduction, it has barriers, it has advantages, and it has typically the characteristics. Now if this is a concept, then how do you introduce? So you introduce through, say for example, form some groups, and then discuss about it. If there is an interaction that is happening about around the concept, let the students go and research about it, let them come up with some idea about it, and then let them participate in that. Then the second part would be showing the disadvantages and advantages of that particular character, or the effects of that particular concept on the application part of it. So it can be in form of say presentation, or a role play, or an activity actually, that has to do with the participation in form of different roles. You form different characters, and then it kind of clicks there. So yeah, that is very important. Then if you want, it can be in form of verbal, it can be in form of non-verbal communication that you can take resort to. Non-verbal communication means you can have different banners, different posters that goes on to show more about the details about the character, sorry, more about the concept that you want to present. Then you write down a dramatic script as far as certain areas are concerned, wherein you require different metaphors to be used, and you use different props to make the audience understand the concept. So that will make it more simpler, because through the visual imagery that you are presenting, it becomes easier for the people to understand of how 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 to understand the logic behind that particular concept. Say for example, if there is if we want to make students understand the theory of Maslow, the motivational theory of Maslow, then there are 5 points. So what do you do is divide those 5 points as individual five groups if you have large number of students. But if you are smaller students, then let them take each concept, let them come and narrate, view a story around that concept of how they think that this concept can be viewed, in keeping the central theme as a context, central theme. And then they can play around words, and they can write a script, and they can bring out the conclusion. So that will be a very important activity to connect with each point, each theory in that this thing, in the entire theory. If we talk about leadership, then there are good movies you can show to them. There are different, nowadays we have been, it is very advanced as far as digital world is concerned. So you can always, fall back to all those videos wherein there are podcasts on different concepts. There are tutorials based on different concepts. There are AI applications and tools that they can bring, that they can make the presentations in. So it's just how you relate with them, and how do you bridge that gap, and make them understand the different importance of this thing, the concept. So, ma'am, the second slide. Yes, this one. So once you start that, it starts developing the concept. Let them develop the concept themselves. Let them talk about it. Give them some time to present, so that it becomes very easier for them to analyze different points at different time. And then each group is presenting some or the other part of the same concept. So this will be, and then you can, one day you can have a presentation, in which they will be coming and they will be presenting themselves. So that makes it easier as a participation also, and it will give them the confidence, and it will here the group dynamics and group coordination will be, the team effort will be playing an important role to sharpen their communicative skills, to sharpen their negotiation skills, to sharpen their for developing their entire personality. So basically, we want them to come out of their cocoons and present themselves with such concept. Let them come up with any illustration or reference point when they see that the same concept unfolding in a very different way. I mean, not changing the meaning of it, but then they can relate to some movie examples that they believe that this concept is very nicely uh, portrayed in a certain movie. Let them come up with those illustrations that will make it more interesting for the entire the entire group to understand what the concept is all about. Then let's introduce, start by giving the introduction. Ma'am, if you can just change the slide to next. Yeah. So you can start by introducing the concept and the topics, and then you can directly ask them the question, interact about the concept, making it feel as if you are starting to share a story around it, and it will give them the customized layout, and it will be a personal touch also, because then you will not be just dictating the conceptual knowledge. It will be all fun, because you will be also coming up with different activities around it. And then you can have the you can make certain PPT around it, so that for them to make it easier to understand. And for that, you one can focus on the important central points about the concept, and then taking that, they can have the, okay, fine, these are the important core areas, and then we can then move to the next little slighter, lesser important points, and then some, and then touching upon the points which are just to be touched. It is not to be elaborated kind of thing. So this will have them the impact of knowing that इस कंसेप्ट में सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज क्या है. लेट देम come up with that, and सबसे पहली बात तो ये है कि they should not mug up the concept, because it's very important to analyze the concept by understanding it. So let them, I mean, just give them the time to analyze it and critically think and evaluate the concept, because that will really help them to understand and break the concept, even mentally, to pursue that thing. So yeah, bring the characters to describe important points. So if any character, if any concept wherein you think that there is a need to be explained, say for example, then create a very artificial environment there, create a simulation where you actually build up say for example, there is this you built up, ask them to be the teacher for the day, and let them present the character, the theory or the practical concept, and then try to make it more vibrant to ask them to come up with different props or different cutouts or layouts that or different charts that they want to present, so that it becomes very easier for them to present, and then this is how the concept will be very nicely explained to them through different visual narrative examples or props that they use. And uh, and then there is a quick magic here, because what happens is when a fellow student explains the concept to the entire class, it becomes very, I mean, it is perceived in a way that it's easy to understand, because it is number one, they are best friends, or they are fellow students of the same class. So they perceive it in a very light manner, rather than coming from a teacher. But then it is difficult in a class of 200. But if you have a limited, I mean, you have a capacity of, say, for example, 20 students, then you can ask them to, bari bari se aakar you present about a different part of it. Say, for example, I have while teaching the mass media studies. So there are different beats in journalism. So at that point of time, I asked them to, after teaching them, I asked them to go through the newspapers and see which bit is covered, and choose your favorite bit out of it, and come and make the presentation based on the case that you read in the newspaper. So it can be recent or it can be an older case, and then they were able to come and research about it, and they also presented it. So it was a nice activity, because they tried to research about it, and then it became easier for them to understand that, okay, fine. Because now they will be in the process of analyzing it, researching about it, so they'll learn more aspects about it, and that makes them more confident and in believing in that particular topic, and then their approach will be very nice and quite understanding about that particular concept. So it makes things easier for them to absorb the concept and grab the concept. Yeah. uh, Next. Uh, so yeah, as I said, you must ask them to bring the metaphors, visual aids. Try to make the concept. Let them voice it. Like it's a very nice activity. There were theorems in maths, and I still remember one of our teachers. They asked us to record it in our mobile phones, and they asked us to memorize the theorem, and then they asked us to record it, and then record it in a very different form of voices in different with different modulations. So he used to tell us that, if your dadaji used to if he reads this theorem, then how will he read? If a small boy will read, and if the voice is very tiny and crisp and cheerful, how will he read? So what he was trying to do was, he was trying to connect us with different theorems. But then, the logic behind the voice modulation is, we actually remember the narrative, or it helps us to um, uh, it helps us to have an impression about that particular concept in a way through different voice tonations, that makes it easier for us to grasp the concept very nicely. Because in that process of recording it three different tonations, what happens is, we try to repeat that one after the another. So as such, it is being ingrained in our minds while we actually do that. And then while recording, we become very conscious of pronouncing it rightly, reading it rightly, and then analyzing it rightly, because it was the last point was to explain the theorem. So we were consciously putting all the efforts, focus, and attention on that particular subject, and then we were trying to come up with our voice modulation. So I think that such activities which leads to make them understand the worth of presenting themselves, liberty of presenting themselves, that will give them a lot of confidence, that will also help them to deal with certain situations, like how do they break the concept objectively. And theater also has this kind of thing. See, the scripts are there. So what happens is it's very difficult if there is a monologue, say for example, and then I want to come up with that I'm going to deliver that monologue, and then in the setting where the setting is where there is just one small bench on which I'm supposed to go and sit, and I have to deliver that monologue. Then what happens is that there is entire, if you can see the entire crowd, it is in the full lights that I'm supposed to deliver. So what happens is I get a lot of distractions. So under that circumstances, it becomes difficult for me to deliver it. And um, and so one of the good exercises of memorizing the entire thing is through breaking the concept, making a mental note about it, understanding what are the core impacts and core important areas of that concept, trying to have it of trying to analyze it from our own understanding. मतलब वो concept को अपना बनाकर then you try to present it. So improvisation will happen. So improvisation is very nice technique and very important technique on the theater stage. So what happens is you actually don't stuck up. If you mug up the thing, then if it at one place where you stuck up, then it's very difficult to get back to it. So while you're doing that, either through your voice you try to change the narrative, or through your body language you try to associate it with some action. So while you are doing that, the thing remains there in your mind. And I'm sure Nidhi ma'am and I have, we both participated in one of the storytelling workshops by Dr. Ankit Vivedi, where he mentioned that you have to brain map the things, concept, whatever story you want to present, you have to brain map that. And in that, he taught us one theory which is very valuable. I mean, whenever I also teach to my students, prepare it. I do the homework about that concept before I go to the classroom. So I do it that way. It's called the theory of flesh and bones. So you understand, you have to just remember the core areas which are very prominent, which is a must for them to understand. So those are the bones, and then you put up the flesh. So flesh are different points which are very much a part of the concept, but they are not that much important. So they can be improvised, or they can be adjusted here and there. That's fine. But the bones have to be in place. So the structure has to be in place, and then you can improvise it further through your different techniques of presenting the concept. So yeah, we were talking about the visual presentation. We were talking about writing the script. We were talking about the role plays, bringing the characters live, showing the character, portraying the character in a way of a dress up. And also in form of, there are different case studies that are there available on that particular concept. If it is there, then ask them to present that case study, make a case study themselves about the particular topic. If, say for example, if the topic is worth debating, let form one forum in which there is a debate discussion that will help them to bring up all the points. एक तो वो लोग research करके आएंगे, study करेंगे, then they can put up their points, and it becomes very easier and very important approach, because they know which point to highlight at what time. So this is a very important valuable lesson that is taught in the theater also. Okay, when you are focusing on your lines, and when you are actually presenting in front of the other character who is there on the stage, and when you are trying to communicate to him, so through your relation with that character, and again you are doing that in front of audience, so you also have a double role here while delivering the particular concept, or say the line. So what do you do is you make a mental note of, okay fine, I am in this situation, I want to deliver this that way, or in a particular way. So you try to make a mental note of it. Okay fine, I'll be addressing this time on this issue. and then then the discussion starts with the character that is there on the stage. So analyze these things of where you want to highlight, on what points you want to highlight, whether are you taking important pauses in between or not, because that is also very important technique in theater. So is it while you present the concept. So yeah, that is very important. And then you introduce the conflict, because see what happens when you introduce a conflict. Say for example, if there is a concept which has barriers, say for example if you are teaching communication and there are barriers to communication. Now, those barriers are very self-explanatory. Say, for example, noise is one of the barriers. But then, why not put it dramatically? Say for example, form two character. Ask two students to be there, on the dais, and one of them is, having hands free in plugged in, and there is a loud music going on, and the other one is just trying to speak. So that person who has the hands free plugged in, so he is in his own world, he's not, you know so I mean, this is very dramatic thing, but then they understand the value of noise as a barrier of communication. So this is how you can come deliberately, form the scripts, and then bring the characters, introduce the conflict, then resolve the conflict. That will give them more confidence in understanding and breaking the concept to the core of it. And it is trust me, it's a best exercise to do, because that really helps them to go within and अच्छे से टटोल के bring all the possibilities out there, and then describe the concept in a very nice genuine way. And one of the important techniques that I was even taught when I was in school was, हम लोग जैसे आजकल journaling करते हैं, right? So our teacher used to ask us to present the concept in form of a small chart paper, say A3 size में, and then she used to tell us environment. I still remember the environment was one of the subjects, and जहाँ पे she used to ask us to present the subject with different color codings. So she used to tell us that once you write the topic on the front of the chart paper, then you try to analyze के सबसे ज़्यादा, then you color code the topics. जैसे for example, if I have written certain points in key points in red, then other points will be in black, and it will be throughout in black, but the key points will be addressed in red. So this gives them the knowledge of which are the, again, the concept of flesh and bones. So and try to these are the simple approaches toward how the concept should be decoded, that help them to understand the uh, you know uh, that helps them to see the concept from a very different perspective altogether. Now, next. Yeah. Now, this is what you can do is, you can have you can present, either present, ask them to present in groups, or you can have individual presentations. So while we deal with groups, what do we do is we add people and allow them to take up different roles, which helps them in team coordination, which helps them in decision making, because decision making is also important skill. Say for example, if you're presenting something on management area, right? And if you take any, say for example, if you take planning and you're presenting a PPT on it, and there are 10 people presenting it, 10 students at a time, they are presenting one topic known as planning. So how are they going to illustrate, how are they, and who is going to introduce the area, who is going to come next, what who is going to bring the third person, what he or she is going to bring it to the table, how the fourth person will be coming up and adding more to the subject. So this alignment of and distribution of different topics or various areas in the same topic will help them to understand, to make the decision making of कम टाइम में, because there is a time span also कि इतने टाइम में आपको presentation खत्म करना है. So how are they going to touch upon different areas in a way that is not repetitive in pattern. So अगर आगे वाले ने present किया है तो वही बात मैं नहीं बताऊंगी. I will be taking up something else and I will be talking about it. So that will also give a variety of things, and they can look from different perspective by giving example illustrations. They can put up audio clip. They can put up a video clip. Everything nowadays for students is the social media, and I mean, the social media generation, they are very quick in analyzing and taking all these things from the internet, making forming the videos and so and so forth. So it becomes very easier for them to approach this thing. Let them, I mean, give them the liberty to present it in the way they like it. It can be a video representation. It can be something that has to do with the charts and the cardboards and the using the board and chalk and anything that they are okay doing with, but then they should maintain the time span that is given to them, and then they can present in that particular time. So yeah, that has to do with groups. When we talk about individual presentations, then the presentation through a monologue, or the presentation that gives certain areas regional, जैसे हम अगर बात करें regional language की, so we can have it in poetic sense as well. It can be a conversation also, like I am just, or it is a diary narrative that I write about that concept. So the way the expression changes, the concept is memorized very nicely in the mind, and it is being thoroughly there is a mental note, and this becomes a part of your mental muscle memory. So you remember that concept very nicely if it is done in a very different way, if it is expressed in a different way. So individuals can have those exercises in class about coming up with this topic and presenting it single individually. When we talk about groups, again, as I said, we can have debate. Then again, individually, it can be presenting a poster, a chart. As I said, it can be like, see, there was one student 2 years back when I gave them to decode the movie. So he made a very cute photo album out of the motion pictures. All he did was just scene wise. He arranged all, because it was the subject of visual storytelling. So the film was a short film, and then he arranged everything in form of a photo album and a scrapbook, and then he presented to it. So it was very, very beautifully done, in which everything was covered about the movie, about the he analyzed the movie very nicely. But then everything was, text was only 20%, 80% of it was presented through the visuals. So it was classic. So understand, let them come up with different things of how they can present it. That makes it very important and interesting while they are presenting it. हम कभी कभी ये सोचते हैं कि अच्छा इसको इस तरह से भी प्रेजेंट किया जा सकता है, अच्छा लगता है. So कभी कभी it's nice to see the variety in the same subject, rather than go okay fine, this is A, this is B, this is C. So no, you don't have to follow that mundane thing. You have to just break that ice and come out and explore different possibilities. Nowadays, we are in the AI yug. So I think even if you are not conversant with AI tools, but then at least some simple tools and technology that you can know through Canva also, you can present very nicely. They to provide you very good templates also, ready-made templates in form of reel format, in form of presentation, and etc. So it becomes your work very, very easy, provided you have done a little homework about it. So yeah. So ma'am, next please. So when you talk about how the presentations should be made, so presentations, if it is a group presentation, then ask them to create a scene. When we create a scene around it, so what are we doing? We are actually giving them the power to visualize, and when they actually start visualizing, they actually break the scene to the core points, connecting it dot to dot, and then we see the final picture. So it makes really it's very interesting to see how they actually bring that through the group dynamics and group formation, and how it becomes very important when you talk about the concepts which are very important to understand. Say for example, if it is leadership, or if it is the learning dynamics, the theories of learning, or the theories of personality development, or say the organizational behavioral topics, or something related to the OD, like OD organization development interventions when we talk about. Please pardon me because I am giving these examples because I am management from a management background. So these are the topics which are very important and can be made interesting because when we actually dive into all these practical aspects related to the same thing. So then we have when we present individually, you can ask them to take resort to the critical thinking, and we can have the review writing about that topic, and it can be related to something. They review the topic. Say for example, they come up with two or three negative points, 3 4 points which are positive, but then that is their understanding about that particular concept, and how that particular concept is very important in today's age. So let them compare it with current scenario of and then come up with the solution regarding the same thing. There are improvisation technique. Improvisation is very important because it actually caters to the attention of the audience in theater. So whenever you improvise, there is a scope of audience being very curious at that point to know what is going to happen, because that is not in the script, right? So whenever actually you take the concept and topic, and then you are going to put up different points which you cannot change, of course, because it is a part of the concept. Then you try to actually improvise around you try to improvise about the general things around that, so that it becomes very they can present it in form of a variety, right? And then we have this decoding in form of storytelling and interpretation. So interpretation makes it very easy for them to give the meaning, voice out what they feel about that concept. That will be very easy to see, and when they actually describe it in their own words. So nothing like it. So that makes it more interesting. And other skill types are, ma'am, if you can just quickly take me to the next and next. Yeah. So general activities to enhance the skills. So we have the warm up body and face and voice. Let them come and let them, before they actually indulge themselves into, let them, you know, अपने आप को थोड़ा सा खाली करके वार्म अप करके let them present themselves. Mirror to mirror and freeze. So mirror to mirror is a very good exercise in theater wherein you cultivate the focus and attention by mirroring somebody who is standing in front of you. So the moment he also does this, so exactly इसके सामने वाला हाथ आपका होगा, तो you also do this. सो द थिंग इज, वो जितने लेंथ पर अपना हाथ ऐसे करेगा, आप भी उतने लेंथ पर, मतलब वो जो करेगा आपको वैसे उसको कॉपी करना है, राइट? बट अंडरस्टैंड, बिकॉज इट इज मिरर. सो इफ ही इज डूइंग हिज लेफ्ट हैंड, यू विल बी डूइंग योर राइट हैंड. सो बिकॉज मिरर इफेक्ट आ जाता है ना उसमें. सो दिस गिव्स द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ कि अगर एक ग्रुप है, अगर टेबलो है बना हुआ और एक जन कुछ कर रहा है, तो इट्स लाइक रिस्पॉन्ड एंड रिएक्ट. तो अगर आपका, अगर बिकॉज यू आर प्रेजेंटिंग इन ग्रुप, और अगर किसी ने रिएक्ट अलग अलग तरीके से कर दिया, तो द एंटायर ग्रुप विल सफर बिकॉज ऑफ दैट. सो दिस मिरर एंड फ्रीज वाला टेक्निक इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. It also helps you to focus and attentively visualize the thing that you are looking at. So yeah, आपका वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको, फोकस कंसंट्रेशन वो बहुत ज्यादा अच्छे से कल्टीवेट हो जाएगा. देन यू हैव कोलैबोरेटिव स्टोरी टेलिंग. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज, let them take up with one story in which like this is a very general thing that we all do in theater. So I start with one character, introduce the setting, introduce the character. I stop at one place, the other person will improvise, take up from there the story. He will have his own way of turning points, then the third will take from there, and so the story goes towards the completion. So at the last, the completion will be, there will be a resolution, resolution to the story, So it's like कि कहाँ से start किया था, कहाँ उसको बांध के लेके गए, without it's improvised story version, because ये किसी ने सोचा नहीं था कि अच्छा हम ये बोलेंगे फिर ये बोलेंगे फिर ये बोलेंगे. It's like कि impromptu आ रहा है चीजें, right? So this is a very important activity, because critically how you think, if you are very and how alert you are, so ये alertness की activity है. Then devising the short plays or scenes from the text. So whatever text you have or concept you have, ask them to associate with any historical event, or ask them to divide that into in form of the short plays or the scenes, scene wise presentation karwao, so that it becomes easier for them to understand and relate to. uh, Bring in the social media features, yes, of course. So ask them to present in form of 2 minute ka reel. Ask them to conceptualize. Aajkal, there are so many tutorials these influencers are presenting to us. It can be law also. So they are just briefing the concept in 3 minutes. I mean, the length is 3 minutes these days. So 3 minutes का एक reel पूरा बना के, and then with the effects and everything, let them come up with this presentation. It becomes very engaging, because it is the need of an hour. अभी तो यही format चल रहा है. So let them be very creative with it, of how they are going to put up the filters around, what the music will be, what would be the hashtag, so on and so forth. So this will give them the liberty of presenting in a very nice way. So it encourages the imagination power. It opens up your way of thinking. It helps you to voice your emotions, and then you can relate to it. And there are collaborative efforts in it. So each time you have a new partner in the class, you should not. I mean, two friends would not be allowed, each time a new person, so that it also creates a kind of bonding in the entire class. So that is very effective as well. uh, Ma'am, can you just, when we talk about this directing, and because we want to script it, so we script it in a very crisp language, we script it all the concept in a very easy tone. We do it, say for example, if it is a monologue, then let that person come up with in the first person narrative, or let them cite with the example of giving it a third person narrative. So so let them draw your attention through their narratives and through the script, which is very easier done in form of a good storytelling. So now we are going towards the end. Ma'am, can you just play the next, get to the next slide? Yeah, thank you so much. So to conclude, this session must be very interactive. Say interaction opens the door to all the creativity. I believe that when you interact, you come across a lot of alternative ways of handling different things, or you come across so many things that you were not aware about in the very first place. So there are things that you can connect to with somebody's knowledge, with somebody's research, and through such interactive session, it becomes very easier for you to adapt to the subject, to connect with the emotion of that particular concept, and the way it is presented, it helps you to understand that subject very nicely. You can have the one thing is that we all face in this times is the absenteeism. What you can do is just a suggestion, you can have all these activities marked, and it can be linked to their internal marks, or say the final exam marks. So it becomes very easier for them to remain present during this presentation, and they do it very authentically with full attention to it. And then you can have the presentation, you can have interactive storytelling. So let them come up with the idea of presenting it, going live on Instagram and explaining to it, or things like that. So that makes it very very connecting, very engaging. And then we can have participatory theater, wherein, say for example, keep the display of their presentations to the entire other classes as well, so that people come and see, okay, fine, this is the work that they have done. So it gives them the confidence also, and it gives them the things to analyze, and if somebody asks question about their work, then they are able to answer them. So it makes them easier to to tell about that particular topic that which in which they have made the presentation for. Then we have the breaking the fourth wall. Of course, this is you try to interact with so many people around it, discuss with them. It makes you also understand so many things, and at the same time, you also get the knowledge of different things that come from that person. And there are role plays which are very important and which play an important role in um, understanding of different uh, concepts in a way that has a face, that has a voice, that has a body. So it becomes very easier to grab that, grasp that, and it becomes very easier for you to. I mean, it becomes a part of your muscle memory for a longer period of time. So yeah, that is all about today's session. Ma'am, if you can, yeah. So thank you so much for being a very attentive audience, being participative as well, and I will be providing you the notes with in the email. And yes, if for thank you so much, Nidhi ma'am. I'm so sorry. कल और आज के लिए थोड़ा सा glitch हो गया था तो really sorry for that. But we are open to taking questions from your end.
Thank you so much, Zalem. And not to worry about the technical glitch. These kind of glitches will keep happening. And technology is merely a facilitator. So it's extremely important that we just use technology to facilitate our work. Glad that many participants were able to join today's session. We can take the next 5 to 7 minutes for any kind of questions and for feedback. Sorry, through the because my screen was being shared, I was not able to look at what is happening in the chat box. So I'll just try to see what's there in the chat box. Kuldeep Kaur madam is there with us, of course. She's saying a wonderful lecture. That's for Zalem. Badhiya experiment by student possibility, right, Deepak ji? So Mamta ma'am's question is, while taking up a long play in the class, for example, Hamlet, it becomes tough to retain the same flow of energy, interaction, and participation. So, what's your take on this, Zalem?
A very wonderful question, ma'am. So what we can do is we can divide it in three groups. One group will come up with the synopsis of the entire play. They will present on what the entire play is all about. Uh, the second group will talk only about the characters of what mentality does the character come with, what is the relation of one character with other, what is the central theme of the entire play, and then the last group will have, we can have the entire play if you want that the students are going to perform that. So what we can do is let them come up with the simpler version of if the dialogues are too big in the original play, what they can do is they can make it easier for them to take the easier language and one liner as a as the dialogue, and then they can start rehearsing and practice. We can have that play in two or three parts. The first part will have the introduction till the first plot point. The second part will have the confrontation or the major chunk of the entire thing. And the third will be having a concluding the conflict that ends with a resolution. So this is how we can make a justice to it. And then you can do one thing. If we are breaking this in three acts, then it should not be. I mean, if there are the capacity of the students are more, then we can do one thing. We can have different students for all three timelines that I've shared, so that it becomes easier for them to understand. Say, for example, if first part is being played by 1 to 5 students, and then the second and while the second people they come up on the stage and take the theater again ahead from the first point where they have left, so they can be an audience. So they can understand the second part very nicely. Then, once they are done, the third part of the group will be coming and they will be talking about the conclusion and the things like that. So the first and the second part will understand the third part very nicely. So this is how actually all the students will get a chance to present it, and at the same time be an audience from the way the theater has a very good thing about it, and that if the concepts are unfolded in front of you while somebody performs it, you get instant realization about it. You try to mental note, because you try to connect with the characters or whatever the language they are presenting that in. So this is highly relatable. So this is how you can do it. So when you were talking about the energy part, because that will come with practice, man. Because if it is the entire play that is to be portrayed, I know it's not that, I mean, it's a tragic, it has a tragic genre to it. So uh, which I'm so sorry, ma'am, which Macbeth you mentioned, or Hamlet? Also you
Hamlet,
mentioned,
Hamlet.
okay, Hamlet, okay, fine. So so in that, we can do that, no repetitive characters are playing. I mean, no one person will be playing two roles. So that will make them understand and focus on their own role, and that will give them the idea of that particular thing. And then with practice, because all the theater presentation needs a rigorous practice, because without practice they cannot come up very fluently in that. And for that fluently and to present flawless theater, it becomes very, and then these are the plays of great Shakespeare. So I mean, they are really difficult to put up with. But then if you want to make, if you take the liberty of making it simpler, then you can, through easier way of language and donation, that you can come up with.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Zeba,
ma'am.
for
Thank
that.
you, Zilla, ma'am. Thank you so much for a wonderful rendering of, telling me what exactly could be done so that students are more interested in playing a long play like Hamlet. Keeping a student interested, it's a tough thing for a teacher. And especially when students, they come in MA, for example, in PG, in MA English, they come from different backgrounds.
Hmm.
So many of them do not even know about the background of the play. So somehow, somewhere, the teacher gets trapped into telling them about the things which are important for their understanding of the play. So that these are a few challenges which come in the way of a teacher while doing a text in the class. Uh, I do agree with you that role play and dividing the play into three parts and all these, this will prove kind of interesting exercise in the class. Yes, it itself is a challenge to do that, I know, but definitely we'll give it a try. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mm.
Thank you, Mamta
Thank you
ma'am,
so much,
for your
ma'am.
very active
Mm, mm.
participation
Thank
throughout all
thank you
these
so much.
sessions.
I really am indebted to you for making theater come to life. It's much more now a living thing for me than it used to be. Thank you so much.
Yes, great. We
Thank
are
you so
just
much. I
hoping
would just
that,
like to share.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, go
ma'am.
ahead, Zila, go
Uh,
ahead.
yeah, Mamta, I would just like to share here, since you mentioned that some people, they have different languages, so they do not connect with the, because Shakespeare's language is very, it's very difficult to understand for each commoner. And unless and until you have the habit of reading that particular text, you are not used to, your ears are not used to listen to those text. So what we can do is we can ask them to translate them that in their own language, regional language. Let them connect with the thing. Say for example, if there are two characters, and then they are discussing, and there is a conversation. So let them think that if there is a conversation between a father and a son, ask them to convert that into कि से अगर तुम अपने पिताजी के साथ बैठ के ये conversation करोगे तो किस तरह से रहेगा. So it
Right.
becomes very easier because now they have the face to imagine and visualize, and they can go ahead with
Yeah.
explaining that. तो रीजनल, क्योंकि एक तो हमारा हैबिट ये होता है ना कि हम पहले हमारे रीजनल लैंग्वेज में हम लोग
सोचते
कंसेप्ट
हैं।
को समझते हैं, सोचते हैं, तो दैट विल हैव दैट कनेक्ट एंड देन लेट देम पुट अप अ पॉइंट, फिर उसको थोड़ा सा आपने फर्निश कर सकते हैं मैम।
बिल्कुल
डेफिनेटली
बिल्कुल।
डेफिनेटली, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
या दैट्स एन इंटरेस्टिंग
थैंक यू।
सजेशन। और मुझे लगता है कि ऐसी एक्सरसाइज करने से स्टूडेंट्स का भी क्रिएटिव पावर, इमेजिनेटिव एबिलिटी बढ़ता है। मतलब
बढ़ता है,
देन
बढ़ता है।
वो उस फ्रेम में रिस्ट्रिक्टेड नहीं रहता है कि क्योंकि ये शेक्सपियर द ग्रेट का प्ले है तो हमें इसको ऐसे ही देखना है। वो थोड़े दे कैन ऑल्सो मूव आउट ऑफ बाउंड्स. Okay, there are two connected questions which I can answer on behalf of Zelam. Of course, Zelam, I invite her response too. Neeta ma'am's question: do you approve of non-Western cultures interpreting Shakespeare in their own cultural context? If you ask me this, and I am not a student of literature, neither a student of language, I am a student of political science, I would say yes, why not? Knowledge is global. Knowledge, creativity, literature, poetry, drama, performing arts, these have no boundaries. So it would be interesting for a culture from the East to read Tolstoy or read Shakespeare or read other great Western writers, authors. And I think this kind of exchange between the East and the West is already happening. In fact, I would say yes, as a non-Western culture, we should try and read and interpret and analyze what Western authors or poets wrote, and also contextualize it in our own culture, because they have done so very freely. हमारे जो साहित्य है, कविता है, कल्चर है, स्क्रिप्चर्स है, they have also tried to make sense of it. They have done studies and researches on it. They have also tried to appropriate it, which is of huge concern as far as Indian knowledge systems is concerned. You see so many scholars and researchers writing on Indian philosophy, Indian knowledge systems very freely, and they become an authority just because they come from the West. So as long as we don't have an ill intention, and as long as we don't engage in cultural appropriation, if it is their work, it is emerging from their landscape, it is theirs, but we can always reinterpret, reanalyze, or understand how it is relevant to our context. They have already done it with a lot of our work. So I don't see anything, uh, uh, how do I put it? I don't have I did have the right word for it. I don't see anything inappropriate in doing that, as long as cultural sensitivity is maintained, cultural equanimity is maintained, and there is some kind of semblance and balance as to what you're borrowing. You need to acknowledge, and you also need to appreciate, even if it comes from another culture. And you can't then say that now it is mine, it is no longer yours. In fact, the West is guilty of cultural appropriation. बहुत सारी जो हमारी चीजें हैं उनको अपना बताते हैं. जब तक वो नहीं हो रहा है तब तक ठीक है. और उससे कनेक्टेड जो डॉक्टर शेखर चैटर्जी का कमेंट है, आई एब्सोल्युटली अग्री. इन फैक्ट it's okay if you're a student of English literature, that is great, but it is also necessary for us to appreciate our own literature, our own poetry, our own folk arts, and we have had one long session on that. So for example, I'm from Gujarat, and in Gujarat, the Kanhaiya Lal Munshi is one of the most famous novelists. Of course, he was a politician, policymaker, educationist, but he is the work that is written in the Gujarati language. Abundance of novels being written in the Gujarati language. I should be more connected with the region that I am a part of. अगर मुझे वहां का साहित्य, वहां की भाषा, वहां की कविता, वहां का थिएटर, वहां का फोक आर्ट, क्राफ्ट, ये सब नहीं पता है, तो इट्स अ प्रॉब्लम. आई मे एक्सप्लोर ग्लोबली, दैट्स नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम एट ऑल. दैट शुड नेवर बी अ प्रॉब्लम, बिकॉज इंडियन सिस्टम्स का आउटलुक ही ग्लोबल है. वी आर ग्लोबल इन आवर आउटलुक. दैट इज व्हाई वी से वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, right? We appreciate the arts and crafts and traditions of other countries, but that does not mean that we should become distant from our own. So absolutely right, Dr. Shekhar. It's great to know Shakespeare, Tolstoy, Animal Farm, George Orwell, wonderful. But it is also very important in the context of Bharatiya Parampara and in the context of Bharatiya identity to be much more rooted in our own cultural moves. Sorry, I had to take over this question because I thought it's more to do with IKS and the सॉरी जो द्वंद्व हम फेस कर रहे हैं कि हम वेस्टर्न भी पढ़ रहे हैं, अब हमको इंडियन भी पढ़ना है, तो क्या करें? Yes, I
But
think
ma'am, I'd just like to add up to that. When you mentioned that, the Western interpretation part. So most of us may not know Sanskrit also, but then still Bhagavad, we can. I mean, it reaches to us in a format which is very we can understand that in a very simpler, एकदम simple सी भाषा में it is reaching to us, and डाइल्यूट नहीं होना चाहिए उसके अंदर का जो मीनिंग है. Then you can take the creative liberty of expressing it in a very simpler way rather than to have more jargons to it, or glorifying it and telling it. So I think that will make them.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand that language may become a handicap, but I think we can learn our own languages also. If we can learn French, German, आपको फ्रांस, जर्मनी, जापान, रशिया जाना है, तो हम सीखते हैं ना उनकी भाषाएं, तो अपनी भाषाएं क्यों नहीं? For example, I'm myself enrolled in a spoken Sanskrit certificate course at this moment, at this age. Not that I'm very old, but yes, I'm a little late in my life to learn Sanskrit, but I have learned French. I have an advanced diploma in French, but I realized that, okay, I know a foreign language, but I don't know my own language. I can speak Gujarati, Marathi, Hindi very well. I'm also trying to pick up Bengali. So we can make efforts to learn our languages and appreciate the knowledge repositories in our own languages. I think somebody had raised their hand. Professor Navdeep sir, did you raise your hand? Sorry. Navdeep Singh sir.
Ji. Very good evening to all the participant, resource person, Madam Zilan Thambi and Madam Nidhi and all present here. First of all, Sat Shri Akal.
Sat Shri Akal, sir.
Sat Shri Akal, sir.
So, as an educator, especially literature, I always wonder one thing, and which is, Shakespeare is great. We all know that, and we have, almost everybody have studied or gone through with his 7, 8 at least plays. It's okay, wonderful, wonderful. But how many of us have told the students that Shakespeare is the Kalidas of England?
Absolutely well said. Absolutely correct.
Gee. So, so again, Western ideology is there. Somebody who comes around 1,000 or 11 or 1,200, back from Kalidasa. So Kalidas becomes the Shakespeare of India.
Yes,
so
वही बात है ना सर कि हम पूरा जो नॉलेज का इम्बैलेंस हो चुका है हमारे कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कि वी वांट टू जज आवर नॉलेज रिपोजिटरीज एंड आवर नॉलेज सिस्टम बाय देयर स्टैंडर्ड्स कि हमारे यहाँ के शेक्सपियर है. प्रोफेसर कपिल कपूर की मैं यहाँ पे बात करूंगी. छोटा सा एनेक्डोट है. एनीबडी हु इज इंटरेस्टेड इन इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम्स, please refer to Professor Kapil Kapoor's lecture. I think initially, and he was the one who started teaching courses on IKS in JNU. And I think he's also a professor of English literature. In one of his early classes, he was talking about Shakespeare or some other great Western British English author. I don't remember exactly. And वो क्लास में पढ़ा रहे थे और उनके स्टूडेंट ने पंजाबी में ही ना स्टूडेंट से पूछ रहे थे. क्लास खत्म हो गई, वो क्लास के बाहर आते हैं एंड उनको स्टूडेंट पंजाबी में ही पूछता है कि सर ये जो आप पढ़ा रहे हैं उसका रेलेवेंस क्या है, क्योंकि जब आप वेस्टर्न लिटरेचर पढ़ा रहे हैं इट इज रूटेड इन वेस्टर्न कल्चर, वेस्टर्न एटिमोलॉजी, वेस्टर्न एथोस. तो वहां पे एक तरह का माहौल है, ऑटम है, स्प्रिंग है, विंटर है, बट हमारे पंजाब में वेदर इज वेरी डिफरेंट, कल्चर इज वेरी डिफरेंट, द लैंडस्केप इज वेरी डिफरेंट, जो हम उसको रिलेट ही नहीं कर पा रहे हैं आप जो पढ़ा रहे हैं हमको, बिकॉज वी आर क्लोजर होम. वी वांट knowledge that is closer home. So अगर मैं जहाँ रह रही हूँ वहाँ की नेचर के बारे में, वहाँ की संस्कृति, इतिहास, संस्कारों के बारे में आप मुझे नहीं बता रहे हो, बट कोसों मीलों दूर किसी लैंड के बारे में आप मुझे बता रहे हैं, इट्स ग्रेट टू नो. आई एम स्टिल रीइंफोर्सिंग दैट. अच्छा है, पता होना चाहिए रशियन, जापानी और वेस्टर्न यूरोपियन, क्यों, अफ्रीकन लिटरेचर के बारे में बात कर सकते हैं, लैटिन अमेरिकन के बारे में बात कर सकते हैं, वियतनाम के लिटरेचर के बारे में बात कर सकते हैं, ईस्ट में भी कितना सारा अच्छा लिटरेचर है. ये सब अच्छा है as long as we also learn to appreciate and dive into our own stuff. That is the message that I hope sir was trying to bring. And I feel that if we move and explore our own knowledge systems, we will learn to appreciate both ours and theirs. Because हमारा knowledge system कभी ऐसा नहीं कहता कि हम superior हैं और दूसरा knowledge system inferior है. That's not the entire point of this discussion. We have a global outlook. We have an outlook where we want to learn from other cultures, and we also want to give the best of our culture to others. That is how India has survived for so long. ऐसे ही भारत की संस्कृति महान नहीं है, उसमें कुछ एथोस है उसकी वजह से वो महान है.
And ma'am, just to add to what you said, if we give them the variety to explore different, जैसे हमारे यहाँ के जितने भी, जैसे रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर जी की स्टोरीज है, मुंशी प्रेमचंद जी की स्टोरीज है, you have कवि दिनकर जी. So if you know you have, if you come up with class activities based on this, they will also understand of how different two cultures are, and still the expression is so rich in both the cultures. So they will appreciate both the things. So I think we should also bring that. It can be out of the blue activity, but then it is a very participatory activity to us. You can bring in uh, by connecting with our own poets and playwrights and writers and so on and so on.
Great, absolutely. Thank you, Salem. And sorry if I got carried away while answering, but yeah, I think that was necessary. Thank you, Professor Navdeep Singh, sir, for your inputs. And we'll just have, Professor Kapil Kapoor. I think he should be an icon and idol for anyone who wants to be a good teacher, good researcher, rooted in our own knowledge system. So yes, great, wonderful. At least I follow his work quite closely. And he was doing Indian knowledge system when nobody was doing it. Today we are doing it because, okay, we have to do it. It's mandated and it's trending to do it. But I think he or Dr. Meenakshi Jain and so many others, they did it at difficult times, which we should appreciate. So let me take the last question because we have to close very quickly. Zelam Raviji's question: what is the most effective way to use both translation and adaptation for theater? Yeah, that only you can answer. Translation and adaptation. You can give the example of Kansari. जैसे कंसरी है वो भीली कौन सी भाषा में थी ज़ेलम? आदिवासी भाषा में थी जो गुजरात
आदिवासी
डायलेक्ट है, बट आप लोगों ने उसको थिएटरिकल फॉर्म में गुजराती में प्रेजेंट किया.
Yes. So it was presented in Gujarati. Also, when the same play was sent, for the presentation at the NSD, because there the people are not understanding, Gujarati. So for that we translated the entire play to in Hindi. So it was done there. So I mean that can be done. And when you talk about adaptation, so when you adapt to different literary works and then you make it in form of a play, at that time you have to then you have to take certain things into mind, because it was formerly a point of book literature, right? And now you are going to make it in. So it was first a textual thing. Now you are going to make a visual thing. So the application and the conversion from text to visual is very very drastic. So what are those elements that you can you think that while you show it, uh, uh, that would make point to the like, see how I want to put it. I'll tell you. Say for example, it's a Tagore's Homecoming. If you consider one of the works from Tagore's stories. So if you want to have it in form of your theatrical presentation, Raviji, so what we can do is we can adapt to the easiest way of where do we see in the story, where do you visualize actually the scene. So if we can connect to the scene and we can connect to the visualization part of the story, we can make it in form of a script which is reach in while the people will go on the stage and perform it. Say for example, let's not be more descriptive about it while we present it on theater stage. We have to be very, because there is a time span there. So and then we have to show it in form of the entries of the characters coming and going, so all these things do take time. So understand that without diluting the important message of that particular literary work, we can still convert it by bringing the visualization effect into our script. So if you write technically with the help of keeping in mind those things, if you can convert that in form of there are so many films that are made from biographies, right? So the adaptation, and sometimes people comment also that a book बहुत अच्छी थी and movie अच्छी नहीं थी, and in major cases that is the scenario where they say that okay, book में इतना नहीं दिया था, वो अच्छा दिख रहा था movie में. So yeah, so this is one of the important, yes, exactly, Priyanka ji, you have just mentioned these things. So the adaptation of conversion from textual to visualization, I mean visual concept, that is a very important thing. So you have to understand of how you are going, who are the characters that will be driving your story ahead, without diluting the entire meaning of the entire that book or the text that you want to present.
Great, wonderful. And I do remember one book adapted into a movie that I simply loved, and I thought that the movie was better than the book, was Jhumpa Lahiri's Namesake. And the Namesake starred Irfan Khan and Tabu. And I really thought that the movie was much, much better than the book. So sometimes you may land up and see a movie which is much better than the original book, or vice versa. There was a question by Neelamji, which I hope Zelam has answered in the chat box. So in the interest of time, we are closing today's session, and I invite Dr. Kuldeep Kaur Madam to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, all. We were enjoying 7 days FDP on theatre skills for educators and professionals. I, on behalf of my college, Babbar Akali Memorial Khalsa College, Gardshankar, and Principal Dr. Amandeep Hiraji, is thankful to Ms. Zelam Tambe for sharing her valuable and interactive sessions throughout the FDP. My special thanks to Madam Nidhi for conducting this event. I am also thankful to NLD team, especially Mr. Pradyuman Raj, for their sincere efforts and helping us to organize such FDPs. Thanks to all the participants for sparing their valuable time. Such FDPs are really good and inspiring for all of us. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kuldeep ma'am. बहुत अच्छा लगा है आप लोगों से जुड़कर. पंजाब से, land of prosperity, and the land that flourishes, and I think the land of vibrancy. Very, very happy to connect with all of you, and thanks to all our wonderful participants. I can see some people were very, very regular, so we really, really appreciate your regular presence, your interest, and your keen dedication in participating in this program. Please stay in the WhatsApp group. I have put the feedback form. I will again share the feedback form and some instructions for certificate in the WhatsApp group. Deepak ji has requested some material by Professor Kapil Kapoor, so I'll share it with Zelam. So when she's compiling the material and you are sending the material, We'll get material from her, as well as we'll get some IKS related material by Professor Kapil Kapoor. So that should take care. Please stay active in the NLD group so that you can get information about our upcoming FDPs. And Zalem is, of course, regularly with us on our platforms doing FDPs on creative writing, visual storytelling. And this was the first time that she did this FDP on theater skills. So many thanks to Zalem, wonderful. And I'm sure that her teacher mentor in theater, our teacher mentor in theater, Shri P.S. Chari sir, will be extremely happy and delighted that we could do something like this. ये हमारी तरफ से उनको गुरु दक्षिणा ही है, क्योंकि गुरु के बिना भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा में तो कुछ हम आगे बढ़ नहीं सकते. So once again, thank you to everyone. आप सब जुड़े रहे हमारे साथ, आगे भी जुड़े रहिएगा, and we will continue this learning journey together. So take care, everyone. Shubhratri, and wonderful meeting all of you. And best wishes to all the faculty members and researchers here for their future academic endeavors. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much, Nidhi ma'am.
Thank you, Zalem. Wonderful. Have a
Zalem
good
ma'am,
night.
thank you.